Hangout is now live. Okay, it's broadcasting. And I think it is live now. I think before I didn't tell it to start, and so we did a whole Hangout, and then talking about we did it. Okay, so welcome to Google Hangout. I am IamMLUV Google Hangout. My name is Monica. I am IamLUV Blair, and we host this Hangout weekly as an interactive mastermind session for those that are looking to start a business, get started in business, or various projects they may have. And our goal is not to be the smartest ones in the room, but to at least be able to share our insights on our personal experiences and our journey, material that we have studied and learned, and to be able to share on an interactive basis with those that join us in the Hangout. So I am an entrepreneur. I'm a multipreneur, actually. I own multiple businesses. I retired from my job of 25 years in 2012 through a forced type of retirement situation. But I had started putting my ducks in a row, which was actually my saving grace. And so that has, I would say, continued to fuel my passion because I found that this road that I have started to walk down, I'm very passionate about. I'm passionate about educating and helping those along the way. As I had this big curiosity since grade school of how to do this. This was always a big mystery. How does one get started? Those that I would see in business would always talk about, yeah, it's hard, but they wouldn't trade it in for the world. And I would say the same thing now that I'm fully self-employed and caring for myself, that I wouldn't look back. I'm so happy to be where I am. I am an investor. I'm a network marketer. I'm a mentor. I'm looking to move forward into becoming a motivational speaker. And one of my other passions is financial literacy for kids, which you can find on Facebook. And I have future plans to be able to share that portal with people from young to old, and educating those in finance and getting better at being able to prepare for their own future, whatever it may be. This is not a cookie cutter type setup. Everyone has their own goals in life. Everybody has their own desires in life, and everybody has their own path in which to get there. So I don't subscribe to a cookie cutter process, but I do think there's standard language that one could use so that we're all speaking in the same language and can help each other along the way. And this is Marco. I'm going to let Marco introduce himself. Tell them more about you, Marco.
Named Marco McNeil, recent college graduate, 2014. Getting into different type of businesses, trying to expand my horizon and being a multi-entrepreneur. Just trying to pretty much looking at different ways to introduce income or earn extra income and things like that, and just trying to learn more on different bases of things that's going on now.
Okay, thank you. Sandra is another that usually joins us on the couch, but as Sandra has shared with us in the past, her son, who is 14 years old, Kyle, is heavily training for Taekwondo and has aspirations for the Olympics. So a lot of times Sandra is not able to join us on the couch because she has traveled to some other location for a competition. And I will say that Kyle had a competition yesterday in Fort Lauderdale, and he had 4 competitions to participate in, and he completed his competition and he has come in second. So he will be on Team B, and Sandra will be able to explain more when she comes back. But what I'm understanding is that he'll be on Team B with the goal to be able to go to the Olympics. He will be going, I think. She can tell us more when she comes. But it's really exciting and interesting to see. He puts in a lot of time in his training and to get to the goals that he wants to achieve. And she is a mom, and grandparents are there to support him. So our topic today is on fear. And I call it walking through the fire of fear. Because a lot of times people encounter fear, whether they want to admit it or not, and it really can inhibit one's progress. So I wanted to kind of just speak about that, share about that, have some dialogue about that. If anyone wants to participate, you sure can. If you're having trouble in being able to reach us through the microphone, you can definitely text us and participate that way as well. But just speaking from the very beginning, um, one of the primary things that is needed, and we just had someone join in, so welcome, welcome. Hope you can hear us.
Hi, Monica.
Hi, Lisa. How
Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. We just kind of got finished with the introduction, and so today's topic is on fear. And this Google Hangout is actually meant to be very interactive. So I'm glad you were able to drop in. I'm not sure how many might actually be able to view us and just can't talk or can't text. But we're moving forward. We're making progress. We had a little bit of roadblock. None of us are the techiest people, but we've got, we want to be able to share. And, I love to network. Lisa and I have known each other for a while. So Lisa, I very much love to network and mastermind, share, and be able to get knowledge from others. So just kind of diving into that. Like I said, the subject is fear, and I like to call it walking through the fire of fear, because that's what I call it for myself. Whenever I'm faced with it and I'm having my personal dialogue, I challenge myself to walk through that fire. And coming from a technical background, because I used to be a telephone technician, and I used to do repair of phone lines, and so that was my challenge. And every time that I fixed the phone, then I called myself beating the trouble. And I used to look at the trouble as an actual person. So I used to talk trash to the trouble every time I would win. So the first thing I wanted to touch bases on is, of course, whenever you have something, you need to set your goals. You have a vision in your mind, and you're trying to bring that to fruition. And a lot of times, at the very beginning is when you're really struggling with that fear. You'll have those kind of negative conversations in your head, and we spoke about that before. And a lot of times people would not even admit that that's actually what's happening, that it's fear. They look at it as some kind of logical decision, but actually, if you don't know the future, and none of us do, then it is fear. You don't know what is actually going to happen. There's things out there called miracles and the unknown that happens every day that actually people reach success, but it actually begins in your mindset. And so I would say to don't be afraid of being different, because that's kind of that first thing. If you are like everyone else, then you're going to do what everybody else does. But if you have some kind of dreams or goals, they differ some kind of way from what the mass society is doing. So you have to be different in some kind of fashion in order to make it happen. And it can be as small as, at one point, and I wasn't there, of course, I'm not that old when the wheel was created, but at some point it probably was a square, and then somebody kind of rounded it off, and everybody was, I know a great example to use is when they talked about the fact that the earth was not round. And somebody actually had to challenge that concept and go off into the sunset and see if they were actually going to fall off the edge of the earth. And that person was different. Everybody wasn't doing that. They thought that person was crazy. It wasn't until they discovered that the earth was round that that person became a genius. So you have to kind of walk through that challenge of fear. You're going to have friends and family that will tell you that you are the craziest person And you need to sit your little crazy self down before you fall off the edge of the earth. And you're going to have to make a decision. Are you going to fall in line with everyone else? Or are you going to drift off into the sunset and see if you're going to fall off the edge of the earth? And that's a curiosity that you'll have to settle and satisfy within yourself, because you're either going to challenge that, and in your later years, you will not say what you wish you should have could have done, or you're going to sit still and listen to everyone else and then talk about what you wish you should have could have done for the rest of your life. So those are things to kind of weigh in. I don't know if just in speaking about this, if you guys have anything that you all want to add with just these bullet points I mentioned.
I know, just speaking of fear in general. How you doing, Marco? By the way, it's my mother.
Hi, Marco.
How you doing? Just in speaking of fear in general, a lot of people hold back a lot of things because of fear. They, like you were saying, being different. They don't want people to judge them a type of way if they're doing new things. A lot of people just don't want to pursue what they think they should do just based off judgment, and that's a fear that a lot of people have, or just failure or rejection, not knowing that in order to get what you want, you're gonna have to fail a couple times to succeed. So they don't want to go through the whole process of failing because they're scared. They're scared to fail, so they're not gonna do, and that fear is just holding them back. And I know that's a big problem for a lot of people. I know me, that's still something I'm trying to get over in certain things, just fear factor.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yeah,
My,
another thing. Did you have anything you wanted to add to, Lisa?
sure. I guess my big thing, what propels me, is I don't want to have regret. I don't want to be one of those shoulda, wish I did. No, just do. That's
Yeah.
that's that's my motivation. Um, I guess it isn't until I'm in the weeds the fear starts to come in. So it's doing is fine because like I said, I don't want to. I'm not the type of person to think, oh, I wish I got in when this was happening or that sort of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing is, I would say, is to find and associate with like-minded people. I think a lot of times that can also be a fine line for us, in whether we achieve success or not, because we have people that we have associated with, we have common ground with, be it family or friends we've grown up with or gone through school with. And when we find ourselves trying to grow our own wings and go off into what we're trying to go off into, we have to make a decision to leave some of those people behind. But we also need to be finding people to replace them that are supportive of what your goals are. They might not see your vision completely, but they may understand what it means to strike out on your own, to be an entrepreneur. They might not see the business that you're starting, but they may be able to give you suggestions on just that, how to start a business. They may not have heard of the technology that you're looking to invent, but they understand the need for that type of technology. So if you find that you can go out, which is another fear factor. I know when I first started and I would attend meetups and events, I would find that the rooms may be packed, but maybe two or three people might speak because they were scared to be the ones highlighted, to say the wrong thing. But the room was filled with a whole bunch of people that didn't know either. So how could you say the
Right.
wrong thing when everybody doesn't know? You'll probably ask a question that somebody had that they were scared to ask. So if you can push yourself beyond your fear, push yourself beyond the self-judgment that you have inside your own head, which is a lot of times limiting because you don't have the knowledge base that you're trying to expand into. So if you don't, you generally are going to have a limiting conversation within your head. If you can push yourself beyond that, if you can go out and meet people and connect with new people, you'll learn things that you didn't know that you needed to learn. As we had spoke about in one of our previous hangouts, When you first starting out, you start off with, um, I don't know, and I don't know what I don't know. And so if you don't know what you don't know, how are you going to find out if you never open your mouth to ask questions? So you might have a question about what color is this shirt? And then when Marco gets finished talking, not only do you know the color of the shirt, you know the manufacturer, you know the store he got it from, and that might be some vital information for you because you might be in the fabric industry. And that just told you a lot. That told you who was the actual manufacturer, who was the actual designer. And you might say, I went to school with him. I can look him up. I can hook up with him and maybe he can help me. But if you had never just had a conversation with Marco, that information may have not come about. That's another thing, and I try to do that as much as I can. It also feeds your soul when you're having those down days and those negative conversations to be able to turn to somebody who's been there before. I'm really having a bad day. Oh my goodness, Murphy is on my shoulder and he won't leave me alone. Go home, Murphy's Law. Don't you have a house to, don't you have a family to go live with? You're going through changes, but someone else might tell you, you know what? I went through that and this, that, and the other happened and I lost my business and I came back. Guess what? When they finish telling you their whole story, they have saved you from having to lose your business and come back from a mistake that you were getting ready to make because you didn't know what you didn't know. So once again, putting yourself back out there and talking and connecting with people, you're going to find those that fit that mold of what you're looking for. You guys might want to add on to what I have said so far. Definitely jump in. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was to be careful who you do tell. Just like I mentioned before, because just that, your best friend since grade school, and I have had that experience. I've had several. I used to think I was going to be an inventor. I might still invent something. What the heck, you know? But I used to think I was going to be an inventor, but I let fear hold me back, and I've had two inventions that I've seen come to fruition because I wouldn't try. And the first invention was, I can't remember which was first. The how do you say, the rabbit, the bird, or the hen or the chicken or the egg. That's what it is. but but my first invention that I think it was the first one was, if you can think of the concept of a cordless phone, and when you lose your phone, you push the button, and it'll beep and let you know where it is. Well, I was thinking, why don't we have cordless remote controls? We always got to change the battery. You're always losing it. If it has a base, you can sit it on the charger. You'll know where it is generally when you're putting it up on the charger. But when you can't find it and it's under the cushion, if you push the button, it'll sound off and you can find it. Well, I let society talk me out of even trying. I have no clue as to how to get something started like that, and I didn't even try. And so I remember I was expecting one of my sons, and I was out with my husband at the time. We went into the Discovery store, and lo and behold, what did I find? It didn't have a charger to it, so I might be giving away this technology. But I found a remote control to a TV that had the paging system in it, but they had added, which I didn't understand, they had 4 buttons they could page, I guess 3 additional things you could page from your remote control. So I was like, wow. And the thing was probably a little less than $50, like $45 for it. And then another invention that I thought of, because I'm part of that computer generation when computers first started, and I could see down the road, the Jetsons and the Jeffersons were shows that I watched and heard about how the Dick Tracy watch that my girlfriend now has was going to be technology, is now real technology. So having, when I went through school, a lot of my classmates would walk to school with 2 bags. They'd have the backpack on their back and they'd have the backpack on the wheels because we had so much books to carry back and forth for homework. And I thought it made no sense in this day and age to have that. I've seen one teacher create my invention, and that is to convert all of the books over into computer so that the kids go online and can read whatever it is that they need to read or print the pages. And then, secondly, which he did as well, which is, I don't know if you've ever, everybody has, I don't know why I say ever, but you know how when you're studying a chapter, every 3 pages, there'll be like 4 or 5 questions in there. And when you respond, the answers are like a page and a half of information. And that's supposed to be part of your study. Well,
Mm-hmm.
then you submit that. For me, I would submit it for extra credit. It wasn't a requirement in class, but it was extra credit. So the teacher has that set up where when you do the work, it gets checked by the computer, gets kicked back to the teacher as a graded paper. Duh, why don't we have that technology across the board? He has that. If he was a foreign language teacher, he spoke, I think, 5 or 7 languages. He was teaching Spanish. He had created the book. He had put the book online. He had put the study material online, and he had the test online. Everything was technology based. But that vision I let hold me back from talking to a friend who was telling me, "Oh, computers are too expensive. They're not going to be affordable for kids that are under that just below the poverty line. So that's not a technology that will ever make sense." And because I really wanted somebody, I've always had this vision. I'm going to do this with somebody. I'm going to join this. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to have a partner, and me and my partner are going to do it. And because I couldn't find that partner, I would let whoever it was talk me out of whatever my vision was. But along the way, still a lesson in failure. I was failing. What I did was fail forward until I decided to go out there by myself and do it on my own. Stop waiting for people to give me the A-OK that I can do it. I told myself I could, and I kept going. So that's kind of another lesson as far as be careful who you tell. I don't know if you guys might want to jump in. I can go. I want you all to share as well.
I mean, I could just haven't have no personal stuff with what you saying, but I know if you tell some, I can pretty much go off what you saying. If you tell somebody something and they don't believe it, and they could try to change your mind, or they can give you all negative situations on why it won't work, why you shouldn't do it, and it can change your whole mindset of even trying to go out and do it when you already had the thought in your head. So now you pretty much have somebody else thought in your, you having a whole different person's thought in your head now instead of yours, and that could just change the whole outcome of you even trying to go do it, and now you're just scared or like fear. You don't want to, you don't want to do it no more because you feel like already that it's not going to work. So now you just know you're going to fail. So now you're just really not going to do it.
Right. I agree. I want to add that as Monica knows, I'm very interested in real estate and have been for quite some time. It's interesting because even talking to people who are interested in the same things, their level of risk may be different from yours. So you have to worry about the naysayers. Like for example, my parents are into real estate, but they are very traditional when it comes to it. They're conservative, they're risk averse. So it's like I love the encouragement that I receive from them, but I also have to be careful because there are just so many facets to it. And I'd say something to my dad. He's like, "Oh, that's very risky. Are you sure? Are you sure?" And it's like those little seeds of doubt that you don't want to germinate
Yeah.
in your mind. So it's like, oh, and at the same time, I don't. It's like I want to explain, but it's a lot to explain. And
Yes.
even at the end of the explanation, not sure that he's willing to get it. And I don't want to seem argumentative or anything like that, but it's like, but even those in the who have that entrepreneurial spirit, you still have to be careful. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. That is very true. I have that. I kind of piggyback on something that both of you guys said. Because just what you said. In when I first started in real estate, and I would go out. I'm a Robert Kiyosaki student, so I went through some
Mm-hmm.
classes, and they encouraged us. The next step is to go out to RIAs and meet people. And so my gauge, which most society gauges, is by time. So when, hi, how are you? I've been doing this for a year. How long have you been doing it? I've been doing this for 20 years. Your mind automatically snaps. This person's got something to teach me.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I would get to know them and talk to them, I find that my interest was in learning about investing out of the state, or my interest was learning to be creative in my investment strategies. My interest was learning about rent to own projects, or things of that wholesaling, or things of that nature. And they've been an investor for 20 years. They've owned 2 or 3 rental properties that they have rented for 20 years. And that's all they know. They can't tell me anything else. So
Right.
it's not always just because of the amount of time that you have in a particular project. It's actually how well diverse you are as well in what you know and what you can share with someone. And so, as I say, when you're going out and you're looking for people to mentor you, because that was a lesson that I had to learn. It's like, I'm going out, I'm looking for some mentors. I'm so happy, so lucky. Oh, you've been doing this for 20 years. I'm gonna learn a lot from you. And then I'm spending time with this person, and it's like, this is the boring, and I don't want to know this stuff.
Good.
I do not want to rehab a daggone thing. And why am I connected to a rehabber? Because I wasn't really putting that together. That I need to
Mm-hmm.
find people that are on the page of where I am to mentor me, so that I can get education on what I'm trying to learn. And so that comes a little bit of education on my end to know what I'm looking for, and then to be able to filter out the people that are out there to find those that will fit what I'm looking for. And then Marco, I wanted to piggyback on him because we're still, as Marco said, I'm Marco's mother. So we're still working on some of the things that Marco doesn't really recognize. As a mom, I do. So Marco
Mm-hmm.
has been faced with those challenges, but then we kind of wrestled it out behind closed doors. When Marco was going to college, I remember, and I always bring this up. So he doesn't obviously have the same perspective that I had.
His eyebrows.
But when he was going to college and I was preparing him, I remember, and I'll just name this one situation where we went in to get his final report card, and I'm having a conversation with his homeroom teacher, who didn't realize how much Marco had been doing at home to prepare for college. Marco's a pretty laid back person. You won't know all of what's going on in his head because he doesn't share a lot right off the bat. So, from the perspective of school, they probably thought he wasn't preparing because he wasn't going to the college tours and things of that nature. And the teacher was like giving me the riot act about this, that, and the other, about how he's not active in school. And then he asked Marco the $1 million question: what are you going to do when you graduate? Marco told him he's going to college. The teacher was baffled because he hadn't seen Marco do anything. He's like, well, what college are you going to? And Marco named the college. He was already accepted. What the teacher didn't know is behind closed doors, Marco had already applied to 10 colleges and was accepted to all 10 of the colleges. He just had to decide which school he wanted to go to. And so the teacher went on talking, and then he knew the school. Now he got to putting racism out there. He got to convoluting Marco's mind and what Marco saw when he went to the school, whereas he had already liked the school. Now he didn't see anybody, any mixed races when we went to the orientation. The only thing he saw was what this man had put in his head. And so we still kind of had that fight because Marco was adamant that this is what he saw, and I'm adamant about what I saw. But from a parent's perspective, that's what happened. Be careful who you tell. This is a teacher. This teacher told my child not to go to college, to go and get a civil service test and go work for the government. This is what this person told my child to do. I was enraged and still am. Marco has gone to college and graduated from college. So if he had listened to this person, Marco would have told himself that he wasn't worthy, and he would not have moved forward into what he had planned on doing. So once again, it's be careful who you tell and who you talk to, because this was somebody that should have been encouraging him to be his very best. And you never know because everybody's got their own dialect inside their own head and their own fears. He may have thought he was doing the very best for him based on what he saw, but you never know.
Mm.
And so the next thing I wanted to talk about was to take care of your spirit, your mind, your body, and your soul. All of that does come into play with fear. When I first left my job, and as I had mentioned, I was forced to leave my job, although I was emotionally ready. May not have been as much financially prepared, but I was ready to get out there. I was so tired of that place and the corporate mentality. So as I was trying to regroup, even though I have gotten what I wanted, I didn't have all of the things out there that would make this a smooth ride. And so fear was there. I had no one could see it, but internally I was hyperventilating all day and all night. As when I first left my job, I felt like I might have a heart attack because I could see that I was breathing normally, but inside my heart was always going like this. I had just started taking golf that year, and so I had a conversation with my logical mind. I already had a network of people that I could speak to. And so that would settle me in the conversation. As soon as I get off the phone, I'll be back to crazy again. But I told myself, go to the golf course. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't even have the funds at that moment to go to the golf course. But I could go to the local rec center. I had my golf clubs. I had all my materials that I needed because I had just started, you know, taking classes. So I went to the local rec center. I would drop my youngest son off at school, and then I would just pitch some balls, practice like on the driving range. And then I realized in my logical mind, it was very true. When you spend time in those things that are actually taking care of your soul, taking care of your mind, taking care of your spirit, has nothing to do with what your financial plans are. It's going to center you in a place that will allow you to think in the most logical fashion. And when I would play out there on the range, the time it would take for me to take this little stick, this club, and connect with that tiny little ball, that's all I could think about because I had to make it connect. If I was thinking about something else, I was going to miss because I wasn't focused. But as I started to focus on my golf game, I thought for a second, I'm breathing. I'm breathing normally. And so I started making that part of my routine. And I could breathe again. And that brought me back to centering myself and putting my plan together. And then I started making that part of my routine. Even though I might not have had 2 cents to rub together, I was out there taking care of my mind, my body, and my soul whenever I could. What I did to take care of my mind is I watched, which I will name to be my two main movies when I first left, were Malcolm X and the story of Muhammad Ali. And watching them go through their personal challenges that they went through, for me to just walk away from a job, they were handling something much more bigger than me. And I felt this was inspiration for me. And so that helped me to take care of my soul inside. And I try to eat as healthy as I possibly can. I haven't eaten red meat in years. And so I'm not the most perfect eater, but I do. I migrate to eating live food, raw food. I eat vegan a lot of times. And so I'm doing things to take care of myself on that level so that I can feel good. I'm not distracted because when you're ill and you're sick, you can get distracted, you know. I went out one day with a girlfriend of mine. I don't know what it caused. I think it was just something I ate because I had an inflammation on my finger right here that just kind of took away from me being able to use my entire hand. I could not move this finger at all for a few hours. And if I tried to, the pain radiated throughout my whole hand. It came and it went. And that's why I think it must have to do with food, something that I might have eaten. But that's a perfect example. Because of this one little injury, I couldn't do anything. I was out in an supposed to be hanging out with a girlfriend of mine at a jazz club. but she sells CDs for the musicians, and I'm just hanging out with her. But because of that, I was miserable, and I probably made her miserable. So just being out of the loop on a physical or emotional or spiritual level can affect your decision making and your success rate in whatever you're doing, be it a project for yourself or be it building a business or things of that nature. So I wanted to kind of touch on that, and that's all speaking on just that, making a plan of action. Do you guys have any things you might want to add in just that?
I, I find that when I make a plan of action, I have like the most productive days. So I get a little list obsessed, short term for the week, that sort of thing. So it gives you something to strive for because, I mean, that's just a part of life. You get lobbed these balls that just easily knock you off course. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah. How about you? We talked about that before. Both of us are still a little bit weak on writing our goals. But I'm right with you. When I write them down, oh my goodness, I'm on fire. And can't nobody
Yeah,
tell me anything at the end of the day because I'm the hottest thing. I just did something nobody else could do. That's the way I feel because I can't believe I got through everything on my list.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's an awesome feeling because you feel so accomplished. Because sometimes it's like, okay, you have a few things, but if you don't have a list and you look back, some things you forget, and it's like, it doesn't feel very productive. But even no matter how small, you just write it down and you're like, okay, this is what I need to do. You feel just a sense of accomplishment is awesome.
Yeah.
To pretty much piggyback on what you guys saying. With the list, I mean, I haven't really. I'm still trying to like work on writing things down, getting a plan. But I know when I go through my plan that's in my head and I get the things done, it seems like it's a lot. But after you finish everything, you feel like you have more time. Like I still could do extra things. Like after you do the whole list, you see the list. Like I got a lot of things to do today. But after you start knocking it off, you see like you have more time. You could pretty much add more. But at the time, you feel like it's a lot. So if you write it down, you feel like, oh, I got 10 things to do, but it's not as much as you think after you really pretty much get through the whole list, and then you feel like, now I got some free time in my hand.
I feel
Yeah.
I have gone through that exact feeling to the point it's like I feel like I want to do a Rocky, you know, after I done finished my list, it's like, okay, now what I'm gonna do? Because now I'm gonna just cut up, Now I just feel like kicking my feet up and having some wine or something, and just chilling
Yeah.
because I know I've done what I need to do. The phone can ring. That's tomorrow. I don't even have to check my schedule to see if I'm supposed to be on a call because I know I've got everything done. And it's a great feeling. It surely is, you know?
Absolutely rewards you too. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The next thing I wanted to speak about was finding mentors. We talked about that a little bit. And I was telling Marco just that in where we are in trying to expand and grow our business and whatnot. I call it the run. When you're in your grind and you're in your motion and you're trying to get to a peak level, you got to be at a high pace. You got to move at a brisk level. And so with him, as he's migrating and moving into the business world, and he doesn't see what's around the corner. So it makes it hard. How do you tell somebody to run at 75 miles per hour when they've never gone past 30? They don't know what 75 looks like. So it's kind of difficult to say run because they think they're running when they get to 50. I'm running. What are you saying? I'm faster than I was at 30. I'm at 50. What are you saying? I'm going. I'm moving. And you're like, no, you're not. I'm at 70. You need to hurry up. I don't know what you're talking about. So, well, I say that to say that if you find mentors, if you find people that are already doing what you want to do, then it's almost like traveling in the darkness. You can close your eyes. All you have to do is grab a hold of them and duplicate what they're doing, and you're going to reach their level of speed because now all you're focused on is accomplishing those tasks. Those tasks break it down into small, digestible, um, things to do that you can understand. I don't know what 70 miles per hour is, but I know get up every day and make a phone call. I know what that looks like. I know return calls by noon. I know what that looks like. I know to answer
Mhm.
these questions. I know what that looks like, and so you busy checking off your tasks based on the system that the mentor is sharing with you and something that's duplicatable that you can do what they're doing. And the next thing you know, you look up and you're at 65 miles per hour zooming in on 70. And you didn't even realize it because you had your head down and all you knew is that you had to grind and you had digestible processes and tasks that you could complete versus somebody just saying, come on, you got to get to 70. Come on, get to 70 miles per hour. And you trying your hardest. You've never done 70 miles per hour. And you putting everything you have into something that you've never done before. It makes it really a bit daunting to try to get there. So, that's kind of what I want to say in finding mentors. I know once again, that's what I have done my entire time. In my process from day one, I even have a photo journal of all my mentors that I've touched, people I've seen, or gone to lecture, so that it also helps me in not just documenting for the world to see that I've met this person and met that person and met this person, but I can review over a period of time and I can gauge my progress because, just like you said, with the world of real estate and with network marketing and with other businesses that you get into, there is a beginning point and then you grow and you grow a little bit more and you grow a little bit more. And sometimes if you don't look back, you forget. Like I've got a library of material now. And when I first came home from my job and I was trying to get to a point of systemizing, and I'm reaching out to people and I'm talking to people, and a lot of people that I was speaking to at that time were fairly new themselves trying to find systems. I looked on my shelf. I had bought a system 2 years ago.
Mm.
So, it to review what you have, because right when I bought the system, I was there for a private money class, learning how to raise private money in real estate. And so I was there for that mentor. I did buy his system, and I had planned on coming back and enrolling in some other programs that he had, and I never did. So when I never did, I forgot that I had the system that I had already purchased.
Wow.
So, you looking back and reviewing the ground that you've covered helps you in planning your future as well, because you'll pull where you're walking down the road. I was telling Marco about that too. A lot of times people are focused on that one thing. They're walking down the road and they're trying to get from square A to square B. But along the way are lessons that we a lot of times will miss because all we're trying to do is get to B. And then once we get to B, we realize, dang, I passed Jane, I passed Tom, I passed the fire hydrant, I passed the store. And in all of those locations were something of value for you that you weren't focused on at the time because all you were trying to get to was plan B. But if you can learn how to see things from your peripheral vision while you're passing Jane and Tom in the store and the fire hydrant, you're like, I'll get this. Thank you very much. I'll take that. Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing that. And I'm going to go in the fire hydrant, get me a little bit of water. Thank you very much. And now I'm going on about my business to get to plan B. And you have grabbed all those things along the way. So, mentors can kind of help you in that. They can share with you places that you might want to stop along the way. And they can also share with you some of their experiences of what not to do to save you the most valuable thing, which is time. Everybody's afraid of failure, but failure has its learning level as well. And sometimes you can actually learn through a mentor, a third party, and you don't have to go through that failure yourself. So another little nugget to share on mentors. You guys
Monica,
have anything in that?
well, I just wanted to know where do you actually find the appropriate mentor? Because like you had referred to earlier, when you had encountered and met someone who's been in the real estate business for a long period of time, only to find out that that niche within real estate was not what you were interested. They were into rehabbing, and that was not your thing. How do you go about finding a mentor? And I think where my fear, interestingly, crops up into this is that I fear that I don't have anything to offer for someone who has so much experience, because I feel like I'm kind of parasitic in a sense, that I'm just glomming on,
Yeah.
and I don't have anything to bring to the table.
Yeah, I will say, for me, well, first, even not even just say me. First of all, when you ask that question, how do you find them? I think you go back to the very beginning, that very first step, which is setting your goals and your dreams. If you are good at defining that for yourself, it makes it easier to find those that fit. Because if you've already defined that your goals and your dreams, it's the more defined it is, the easier it is for you. So you can start off and say, I want to be an investor. Well, that is a very, very wide blanket.
Absolutely.
So then your goals, your mentors are going to be in that wide blanket. And you're going to end up following people because you haven't defined yourself enough. But if you set your goals that, like for me, I knew that I wanted to invest out of state. My first investment was in Alabama. And so as I was following this system that I had purchased, I wanted to get some support teams and networks together. What I didn't understand at that time, being new, and stupid questions you're afraid to ask, I'm in the DC region, but I want to invest in Alabama. I'm trying to grow a team in DC instead of thinking about growing a team in Alabama. So when I was asking questions, I was asking questions of people in DC, and nobody had the answers for me. So it finally radiated in my mind that these people weren't going to have the answers for me for Alabama. Why would they know about Alabama? That's like asking them to tell me about the Ukraine, So, it helped me once I could really filter out what is it that I'm doing wrong, and so that was I was doing wrong. And also the fact that I have an overall dream of where I'm going to. So on the surface, people might think I'm all over the place, but it's almost like I'm almost following my dream like one would do with paint by numbers. When you see somebody painting this over here and painting over there, it's like you're all over the place with all these. It makes sense. The blues is all over the place. What is that picture? But then over time, the person keeps coming back filling with the oranges and the grays and the browns and the blacks. And then eventually you start seeing a face appear with a hat on the head and the eyes looking in a certain direction, the facial expression. And so it all comes from the very, very beginning of being able to be as clear in defining your goals and your dreams, because then you know who fits for you. And then when you're speaking to somebody, you can be clear to them, because if you met someone like I did, I'm going out there and I'm saying, yes, I want to be an investor one day. Nice to meet you. And you're an investor. And how long have you been doing this? Oh, I just started a year and you've been doing it for 20 years. Wow, you must have so much to teach me. But then when we got into the details is when I learned that they are buy and hold. They don't really want anybody to be shadowing them. They're just there for the meeting. They don't want me to sit next to them. Thank you very much for introducing yourself. Would you go away? Because everybody is there for their own reason. Not everybody is there to mentor. So those kind of conversations is helpful. So now I'm not following behind this person who doesn't want to talk to me, who has nothing to share with me. You know what I mean? We were able to get all of that defined in that conversation, in a polite conversation. They weren't rude and told me to go away. It was their body language that told me that they weren't open to sharing anything. And what they told me about themselves told me they had nothing to share in line with what I'm trying to get. So I would say that, but at the same token, I see that a lot of times people are not open-minded enough to see opportunity when it is there. The flip side is those that do come into real estate, those that I have met and talked to along the way. I had one guy who knew I was involved in commercial investing and really wanted to work with me. He wanted to connect with me. He wanted to work with me directly. He was adamant. He was ready, ready, ready. So then when we sat down and talked, and I was sharing with him my process and my system and what it is that I could do in working with him, where I saw him fit, then his response was to start telling me what he learned in school, what they told him, and wanting to redirect my plan. No, my plan doesn't fit with your plan. That's all. I'm not going to change my plan. It's my plan. You have your plan. We just don't fit. So it just didn't work out. A lot of times people are not open-minded enough sometimes even to see opportunity because they just learned about square A and they're off to the races. They know the whole alphabet when they learned about square A. And you can't tell them anything about the other letters of the alphabet because of what they perceive that they think they know. That makes sense. So I hope that kind of answers that from my perspective.
It does.
Yeah.
I guess he mistakenly thought it was a partnership.
Yeah. You mean the person who came in with me was thinking?
Yeah.
No. I don't know what he was thinking. I think it was getting back into fear because he didn't know what he didn't know. And he was talking to me from a level of him not knowing what he didn't know, but he thought he knew. And so, he wanted to change what I was doing. I was getting him in to come in to do some marketing for me and, the process of how I screen people and things of that nature. He wanted to recreate the will. And one, you just said you wanted me to be your mentor. So how do you recreate your mentor's will and then expect them to be able to teach you something? You can't do both. You're either going to be quiet and listen and learn, or you come from some level of experience that you have something to share. But what also I wanted to address with you talking about being a little intimidated by connecting with people and not having something to share, you do. You always do. The biggest challenge, and that's part of what this meetup is, this Google Hangout, is I feel that the biggest thing that people overlook is personal development and the conversation that you have within yourself. And I know when I first started, people would tell me just that, just like I'm hosting this, I'm not the best at this. You probably can find a whole lot of people that are more technically inclined, can host the Google Hangout and invite people while they're talking to you at the same time with their left hand and have 20 million more people coming in while they just, that's not me. I'm still learning, but I do know more than some. So you know more than some as well. You know what investing is, where some people don't even know what investing is. You know other things that you have learned along the way that other people don't know that you know. And not everything with investing comes from being in the world of investing. Some of it comes from just life and what life teaches you. So just the fact that you've been on this earth for a period of time, you know how to talk to people, you know how to answer the phone, you know how to do some of the things that some other people don't know how to do. One of the things when I first started, this is my funniest story, it cracked me up anyway. When I first started and I'm marketing for property, and they send out what we call the yellow letters to get your phone to start ringing for people who want to sell their house. I knew I was selling the yellow letters out. And I knew that was supposed to make my phone ring. I just didn't expect my phone to ring so quickly. So the first time that my phone started ringing, the phone would ring, and I would run throughout my house, around the sofa steps and down the steps, tell them the phone's ringing. Nobody was home but me, so Marco doesn't know that this happened. I'm running through the house, the phone's ringing. And then as soon as the phone would stop ringing, then I'd pick it up and say hello. Because that was me being scared. I was too scared to talk to them. No one had told me what to do when the phone rang. They just told me to send out the yellow letters. So I did it. I sent out the yellow letters, but then I didn't know what to say to people. when they called. I didn't know how to negotiate a deal. I didn't know what a deal looked like. I didn't know anything. I just went and did. I took action, which pushed me to the next level because now I realized I didn't know. So now I had to learn what I didn't know. So then I knew what to do. So now at this point I can talk on the phone. But when I first started, it was a comedy act. So, we kind of learn along the way. Um, Another thing I would say is create a team of people for just that. When I first left my job, I had a team that I could turn to. Hey, I'm scared. I just left my job. I swore that I would live in a cardboard box before I went back to a job. And I would like to have some in between to that cardboard box before I go live in a cardboard box. I'd like to be able to actually be able to support myself. Please help me. And I had friends that stepped up and advised me and helped me. They didn't do for me, but they saw that I had the energy and the will, and they would step in and advise me. They coach me. They give me suggestions, and I would take it and take action with it. And so that's what helped me going to that next level. I can turn to people and get some help. And I help people along the way. I've got a few friends that reach out to me all the time, like I know all the answers. Hey, Monica, what do you got to do? Blah, blah, blah. Monica, this is going bad. What should I do? And I give feedback of what I would do, and because we're on the same page and we like to talk, as far as we've established that kind of colleague type friendship, then we pick up the phone and we help each other out. And so that and also your legal team, being able to reach out and be able to call your attorney when you need to, being able to speak to your accountant when you need to, also comes into pre-planning. And a lot of times I find that those are on the broke side of life don't do as much pre-planning as we do. What's the word that I want to use? Kind of offense. It's like, when this comes at me, now what do I do to handle that? And this is coming at me. Okay, so now it's tax time. Now, what do I do to handle that? Or something legal wise. Okay, now I'm dealing with this legal situation. What do I do to handle it? But sometimes we can look down the road. And I did when I first came into investing. I looked down the road. Marco was just starting college, and I knew that I needed to leverage my investment to be in a best financial position to support him. And since my best financial was not going to be able to pay for it because I didn't have it, I needed to be in the other side where he could get as much assistance from school. And so because I had looked down the road in advance and been working with my accountant in advance, when it came time to file my taxes, my income was $18,000 less because I had that much to be able to write off. So when he applied to college, that FAFSA reflected my income $18,000 less than what my W-2 was because of the fact that I had things that I could write off that helped and was able to be an assistant for him and being able to get the assistance he needed for college. Yes, motorcycles flying up the road. So,
okay, because I was like,
you were wondering what that noise was? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that team can be very helpful. And that's something that is advised for business owners to be able to get that team. Have your accountant, have your legal, ease team available, have already reached out to them, share with them your contracts as an investor that you'll be using so that they can give you feedback and work it out. And I had to do that with, properties that I have sold and purchased. I've floated it past my attorney and done the pre-work. So when it was time to go to the closing table, my attorney knew everything that needed to be done. Maybe a few phone calls or emails may have been sent to get some clarification because he saw some things that he needed to tweak in the contracts I had. But we were able to work it out versus me going out. Okay, now I'm getting ready to close. Hey, real estate world, does anybody know any attorney that can do this? And hey, attorney, I'm showing up for the first time. How much are you going to charge me? And oh no, I don't think I can pay that rent. Let me go back to the real estate world and find somebody else. And you know, you do that stuff ahead of time. You work out, hammer out all those things ahead of time, and then it makes that closing much smoother, and it makes your business look much better to those that you're working with because you have done your work in advance. Um, so yeah, some other little tidbits that I can kind of interject. You guys have anything you might want to add? Nope, not yet. Okay. Another thing I would say in my notes I took down to kind of keep us moving along is to review your steps. Um, because in that time is when you're going to evaluate what's working for you and what's not. And that's going to help establish your pace. And so when I speak about you trying to get to that 70 miles per hour and you find yourself stuck at 30, 40, 50 miles per hour and you can't move at a faster rate, you might find some processes in your system that could be tweaked, feedback. So you've got a mentor that's advising you, but they're running their business just a little bit different than you. So you're trying to follow their process, but your business isn't 100% the way they're doing it. So you've got to implement some processes to really reflect exactly what you're trying to accomplish. And that's where it comes into the reviewing. So you've gotten started. You were at 20 miles per hour. You found a mentor. You got yourself at 30, 40 miles per hour. But now you're reaching an impasse and you can't seem to get any faster. You're having little things, little hiccups happen. So if you go back and review your steps and your processes, if you are been able to really keep a good tab of where things are, you'll find where it falls out. And then you're not going back to square A at the very beginning. You've kind of gotten through some of the stuff. You're just getting stuck right here. Why go all the way to the beginning? Because you've been able to review your steps, you'll find that spot right here. And then you can start working on improvement right here. And then when you go back to working your plan, you'll see that you're gone from 30 miles to 40 miles per hour. And you see that over the next period of time, you're increasing your rate, which means that what you did to tweak things is actually improve the process and you're increasing your speed. So that was one of the things. And then also I would say, lastly, is to learn from failure. You can learn from failure from your mentors, and you can definitely learn from failure of your own. A lot of times people are stagnant because they're fear of failure. And actually failure is there to learn lessons and improve. So babies that are learning to stand on their own fall many times before they're able to stand. A lot of times they're scared to start walking because they're afraid of falling. But then once they fall, they learn how to fall. So then they're like, I'm going to walk until I fall. I get up and walk again. I might cry a little bit, then I'll get up and walk again. And eventually the baby is running. That baby done forgot about walking, forgot about falling, and now they're running. So, failure is the term I learned that I use now is failing forward. Because if you are persistent, you don't stay in that place. So you fail. Now you're sitting on your behind as a baby and you're making a decision. Am I going to stand up and try to walk, or am I going to sit here forever and cry and say, I can't walk, carry me? Babies don't do that. Babies get back up, they cry a little bit, they rough it off, and then they get back to starting to walk again. And what lessons that they learn is just what I said before. They learn how to fail forward. They fall, and the lesson they learn is to learn how to fall. So they'll learn that they shouldn't fall on their head, they'll fall on their butt. And whenever they feel themselves going to fall, they make sure it's not the head, it's the butt. And then when they get back up, they keep on going, and eventually they don't fall. But they know if they fall, they got to fall on their butt, not the head. So, that becomes that failing forward. You learn lessons in that process and you improve. And if you learn the lessons, then you won't repeat the same mistakes. You may have additional mistakes that you come across, but it won't be the same mistake. And that's where you start measuring your success rate because you're going to improve on whatever you're doing. So that's kind of those last notes that I took. You guys have anything else that you want to add? Definitely please do. Um, I'm glad that you joined us, Lisa. I'm so happy to see you here.
Too. I am too. I see that you have a lot of things going on Saturday, which is awesome. I just can't because I'm always in church on that day. That's the day set aside to worship.
Yeah.
But I'm just so happy to be a part because I see you and Sandra doing some really good things. So I'm excited. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
your time.
thank you. I know we've been talking about getting together. We still have to get together and do lunch sometimes. I don't know if you saw, we'll be having a private business reception on Saturday the 19th.
Right.
Yeah, and I think when you were saying before, I'm doing a lot of things on Sundays, because that's generally when I'm doing my mastermind. So we have the mastermind that we do that is open for everyone to join, like we're doing now. And then right after that, just us as a team will mastermind and plan out our week of
I see.
what we want to accomplish and be held accountable for the week. And then one of the businesses that we're involved in has a whole business wide mastermind and training up and learning new technology that might be out there. But that feeds my soul and kind of gets me through the week, on the business side.
Awesome.
But yeah, if you can come out next Saturday in Hyattsville at 1 p.m., we'll be having something.
Saturdays are when I'm in church, not
So that's
Sundays.
when you are in church. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we could
But this
definitely,
is
after
awesome.
you want to try to narrow down a date and time, we can, meet up one on one. We can do that too.
That would be great. I would love it.
Okay.
Thank
I,
you, Monica.
I think I have your number in my phone. Let me look because when you signed up, you didn't put your number in there, and I, my phone is kind of crazy because people I didn't think I had their phone number reappears.
Oh. So wait, are you saying for the hangouts it would ask for your phone number?
I don't know if it asks for the phone number when you sign up for the VIP list. Some people I have numbers for, and some people I don't.
Oh. Yeah, no, it didn't ask for my number.
Okay. Okay. I have a 703. Is that still the same? 703
Yes.
area code?
Yes.
Okay.
The last two digits 08.
Yeah. I'll give you a call right after the hangout, and we can chat and see if we can narrow down. Because you are hard to catch up with. When I saw you drop in, I was like, oh, goody, Lisa.
That would be great. Marco, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, and hopefully you can join us again. This is definitely meant to be interactive. I don't want to be the only, one speaking because I think, like I said before, everybody has something to share. Everybody has a different perspective. Um, just how you process information. I have things about myself that I'm still trying to learn to work out. So all of that comes into play with the hangout. The more people we have, the more input we can give each other, and share between us. So, yeah, and as far as the real estate, I don't know if you know, Ron LeGrand is having a real estate summit in February, and that is going to be pretty good. He's going to have Robert. Is he the one having Robert Allen? We're going to two. We're going to a Les Brown event on the 22nd this month. I think Robert Allen is at the Les Brown event, but Whitney, that's what it is. Russ Whitney is going to be there. Can you believe that? Russ Whitney is the one who created how to invest in real estate. I can't wait to see him. I didn't know he was still alive. Oh yeah, I can tell you about that. You might want to go.
Okay, that would be great. Monica, let's catch up.
Yeah, I'll give you a call right after. We'll connect. I'm gonna wrap this up. It was wonderful hosting the hangout today. I look forward to next week. If you guys want to get in touch with me, you can email me at monica@IamMLUV.com, or you can give me a call at 202-291-6588 or 716-266-6588. And I'll let Marco share his contact information.
I'm at MDCM That's MDCMMCNEAL @gmail.com. And I'm also always on Facebook, so I always love to connect on there at Marco McNeil. That's MARCCOMCNEAL. So
Yeah.
feel free to add me. Chat, connect.
Okay.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention, for those who have not signed up for the VIP list, you can go to IamMLUV.com/VIP.html, or just send a message over, as mentioned before. If you want to find me on Facebook, just look for me at what is my link? Just that quick, I got tongue tied. Connect with IamMLUV. Just look for me that way and you'll find me. Okay? So at this point, this Google Hangout is officially over, and I'll be giving you a call real soon. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.